Hi, my name is Mia Cocatera, and this is for Module 7. It's for contextualized vocabulary, and today we're going to be working with the Alaska Adventure and working on target words. So, to start out, before we read, I'm just going to explain to you what we're going to do. So I've picked out 4 words that we are going to look at before we read the Alaska Adventure. These could be some very challenging words, though it may come up multiple times in the text. And if we can go over them ahead of time, then you'll understand going into the activity. So, the first word we have is vista. So, I'm going to write that on the whiteboard. Vista. V-I-S-T-A. You will probably see this word come up a lot throughout the text. So, a vista is a faraway scenic view or a beautiful view from a high place. Does that make sense? So far, probably not, because all we hear is we're talking about a beautiful scenic area, and then we hear the word vista. So, an example sentence is, Mary climbed up the mountain to go look at the vista and the beautiful view. So, a vista is a faraway scenic view. When you look out and you see something that is beautiful and you see something that kind of makes your mouth just drop, that is a vista because you're looking at something, it's a beautiful view, and you have to be at a high place to do it. So you can't be on the ground and looking at it. You have to be up on a hill or on a mountain and you're looking out and you see the faraway beautiful view. That is a vista. So, what is a vista? So when we look out, what do you see? You see a vista. You see the beautiful view. So now I want you to turn to your partners and think, where could you find a vista? Or come up with a sentence that uses the word vista and then be able to explain it. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds and then we're going to come back together as a group and you're going to provide your sentences or your own definition to share with the classroom. Okay, so we just finished sharing our sentences, we shared our own definitions of it, and now we're going to move on to our next target word. So our next target word is coordinate. So we just did vista, so I am going to write coordinate down on our whiteboard. So this is a much bigger word. It is spelled C-O-O-R-D-I-N-A-T-E. So, when you coordinate your schedule with someone else's, that is what coordinate means. So, when I look at Sam's schedule and I look at my schedule, do our schedules coordinate? At 8 a.m., are you free? Oh, I'm free at 8 a.m. So we've coordinated our schedules and that's when we can go and get breakfast because our schedules are coordinated. So, coordinate. Again, when you coordinate your schedule with someone else. So, an example is, so what does coordinate mean? So you can look at your partner and say, what does coordinate mean? It'll be something like, I've coordinated my schedule, or I've coordinated to go to this place at this time with someone else. So, look at your partner. What could you do to coordinate your schedule with someone else or come up with your own definition of coordinate or an example of coordinate? Using coordinate in a sentence and then be able to define it. So again, turn to your partner. You have your table partners. Turn to them. So I hear some really good examples of what coordinate is. I really think that you guys understand that it is when you coordinate with someone else. It's not coordinating with yourself, it is with someone else. And I think that that's the biggest mistake that I've kind of heard is you're trying to coordinate your schedule with yourself, but it's when you coordinate it with someone else. Okay? So that's just an example of coordinate. Okay, so our next target word is interior. So I'm going to write that down on our whiteboard. Interior. So when we look at it, it is INTERIOR. So the interior is the inside of something. The inside of it. So the example I have is the interior. It's the interior of a state. It is the central area. So the area that is away from the coast, state line, or border. So that's what interior is in Alaska Adventure. They're talking about the inside, away from the coastline, away from the border. So what does that mean? When we're in our state, we're away from the border. So we're on the inside of the state. So what does that mean? Do you guys have any questions? I know that can be a little bit confusing. So if you're by the ocean, you are not on the interior because you're on the outside of the state. So like if you're on the outside of Florida, that would not be the interior. You would have to be towards the inside of the state, because once you start getting towards the ocean, you're on the outside. You would be on the exterior. So I want you guys to turn to your partner. So where could you find the interior of something? Like think of a place, or think of something that's not interior and explain why it's not interior, or come up with your own definition of interior. So the only correction I can make is you have to remember that it can't be near a border. So if you need to go and pull out your maps that you guys have in your desks, you can do so. And you can look. If you're looking at America, you can look at the outside, and anything that is close to an ocean, that would be close to a border, or even like a state line or a coast. So you need to look, and if you see those borders, then that is not interior. So you can pull out your maps and do so. Okay, so our last target word before we start reading is route. R-O-U-T-E, route. So a route is the way you travel to get from place to place. So for an example, I have to find a new route to get to school on time. I use that same route every day. So it's getting me from my house to school. And I've had to come up with a new route so that way it gets me there in an efficient amount of time. Does that make sense? So, what kind of route do you take? I want you to turn towards your partner. Do you take a route from home to school? Do you take a route from home to baseball practice? From baseball practice to swim lessons? What is a route you take, and what is the definition of a route to you? So I want you guys to go over that, and then we will come back together and share what a route is. So I just want to go over our words one more time so that way you understand them before we get into our reading. So we have interior. So you're not going towards a state line or a border. So my example was of that was an interior part of Iowa is Ottumwa. It's not right next to a state line. It's not near a border. It's not near a coast. So we, being at the Ottumwa Community School District, we are the part of an interior of a state. Okay? Then we have route, going from place to place. So I had to make a route to go to school. Vista was looking at a beautiful view. So Mary went up the hill to look at the vista. And then coordinate was Sam and I have to coordinate our schedule so we can go to breakfast on time. Does that make sense now? So you guys have had some really great examples. I think you guys have done an awesome job at looking at these 4 words. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read the Alaska Adventure. You are going to get with your partners and read Alaska Adventure. I want you to, as you come across these words, stop and talk about them again in the context that the book provides. If you come across any other words, I want you to jot them down on your sticky notes and we will go over additional target words after. Then, once we're done reading, you guys are going to individually write a paragraph, and you are going to have to incorporate these 4 words into that paragraph. And then you can either share them with the classroom, or you can turn them into me and I will read them aloud to the classroom. So that is what is up next in our class for vocabulary, for contextualized vocabulary. So what I want to do now is you to match up with your partners and go over vocabulary. So if I was to do this with my special education students, I would pair them with a higher student when going over the 4 targeted words, and I would also have them go over the examples a few additional times. I also would have them read with their partner and probably do their paragraphs with their partner if they're still struggling to understand, so that way they have an example to go off of. For my talented and gifted students, I would give them additional words. If they master the 4 targeted words, then I would find some additional words from the text to have them go over, so that way that they are still continuing to grow. And then for my ELL students, I would probably pair them with either an associate or even the teacher, just so that way they get a better idea, especially if they're still struggling with their English. Or I would even pair them together if they can't understand it in English, and I would have them do the activity in Spanish. Thank you.